We are going to take a look at two of the most prevalent communication methods to education, the lecture and the textbook, both tried and true methods for teachers to communicate with students.
There will be no foolish wand waving or silly incantations in this class.
The lecture is one where the teacher, in this case the lecturer, is the subject of interest, and through the lecture, content is communicated. The content is contingent on who the lecturer is, how they think, and the connection they have with the students. Some other important factors to make a lecture impactful pertain to student engagement. Is the lecture novel, interesting, in the right context of place and time? Now, students are just there, observers. And in the true sense of a lecture, they do not contribute to the lecture and provide very little, if any, feedback to the lecturer. On the other hand, the textbook is impersonal, but holds even more authority than the lecture. The textbook holds content that is above critique. Text is fact, and one of the reasons why is that it is separated from the author. Now, if the readers were part of the peer group of the author, then the textbook would be married to the author and would be able to be critiqued. Now, this power of the textbook is proven to be evident throughout history. Good examples with the Bible or other holy texts. The words are above critique. Teachers, in this case priests, pay close attention to every single word. Societally, one was only able to critique the Roman Catholic Church 1,000 years after the popular textbook of that time, the New Testament, was written. Now note, the establishment or the teacher was scrutinized and not the text. The text, to a certain extent, was still above critique. Now, Sikhs value their holy book, the Guru Granth Sahib, so highly that the textbook itself was named the fifth and last guru, which is the highest person of the religion. Now, teachers also show this high value of textbooks by falling back on it in times of criticism by directing students to consult the textbook. Students, on the other hand, attempt to commit to memory many textbooks, and as described by Olson in 1980, textbooks are the single most important teaching tool. This likely remains true in their current state or as an e-text style as the fundamental information source 40 years later now. In learning from textbooks, students learn without any feedback from their teachers. It is an impersonal process which implies a method of holding knowledge, like concrete facts, complete grammatical forms, emphasis on logical structures, etc., etc. Although the lecture may present the same content as the textbook, with the textbook, the teacher is attached and there is no ritual. The lecture presents a text that is ostensibly independent of the lecture, but actually covers a ritual centering on the value of the lecturer's physical presence. The student is in the presence of the teacher and attempts to absorb their method of thinking. This moment depicts a type of fantasy for the student, where the student may view the ideas from the lecturer as their own, unable to disassociate what is the student's and what is the lecturer's. Again, the lecture is the subject of interest. The student must learn to use the ideas and concepts as their own and not as an extension of the lecturer's, as if it is their self. So both the textbook and the lecture hold a certain kind of authority. Does all knowledge need authority? And does authority need to be unwaveringly true? This construct may promote black and white thinking, which may remove knowledge that is less concrete, or it may minimize the pursuit of knowledge since it would yet assert authority. And as a society, do we have any control on how we communicate? As educators, we may have a choice, but it is also our duty to meet students where they are at or where the industry is. The essay ultimately did not evolve in a way true to wit and wisdom, but as a necessity to gatekeep students. Technologically, those who don't adopt the most powerful items are destined to become extinct, though those who do evolve do not always change in what they want to be. A prime example is when early European settlers came to the Pacific Northwest. Those indigenous tribes who traded with the settlers got guns and killed their rival tribes who restricted outside influence and had no guns. But this trade, only been unbeknownst later, led to the end of their culture for new. Is this what communication forums are subject to? A movement to the most powerful, or maybe in this context, the most efficient? one that incites the largest emotional response, because maybe a conscious effort for a more noble form of communication would not survive.